Get dinner and a bath ready, pronto, slave. Don't act spoiled just because you're pregnant. After his words, I felt a shock hit my back. As I tried to get up, my body collapsed back to the floor. It hurts. What are you doing? Shut up. Those who slack off need to be punished, right? Jack sneered, raising his foot again, even though I was immobilized with pain. Just as I braced myself to protect my unborn child at all costs, a new voice intervened. Is that all you have to say? It was a cold, deep voice, chilling to the bone. What? I exclaimed, turning towards the source of the voice. I was shocked and turned pale at the sight of the person there. In contrast, seeing them filled me with relief. Standing there, with faces filled with anger, were my brother and his wife, Emily, and Michael. Immediately, Michael pulled Jack away from me, and Emily helped me up. How come you two are here? Probably confused, Jack yelled out in turmoil. My brother, Michael, watched him coldly, his gaze icy. Lisa is my sister. I am Lisa Johnson, a 27-year-old working housewife. After my parents' divorce when I was in middle school, I lived with my mother. We never struggled financially, thanks to my father's regular child support and my mother's sufficient earnings. However, the move made it hard to see my brother, Michael, who was already independent. That was my only regret. Even if I'm far away, I'm still your brother. Don't hesitate to rely on me. Thanks. Even though we were apart, Michael kept in touch, visiting occasionally and sending gifts during holidays. I grew up without much hardship and became independent. Life was smooth until recently, when my mother passed away from illness. Unable to rely on Michael at that time, and without contact information for my father, I struggled alone. Are you okay? I know you're strong, but I want you to rely on me too. I met Jack, my husband, through a friend's introduction during that difficult time. Overwhelmed with my mother's funeral and other matters, I found solace in Jack's supportive and gentlemanly demeanor. We married after a year of dating, despite others saying it was too quick. People around us were saying, "Isn't it too soon, and maybe you should date a little longer before making a decision." But I really love you. That's why I want to be together as soon as possible. Jack said with such earnestness that I decided to marry him. Jack, huh? My brother Michael, who had become calmer by then, looked a bit uneasy about it. Still, Michael kindly watched over us. My in-laws seemed like gentle people, and I felt reassured. Lisa, use this. It's a wedding gift. But I decided to contribute on behalf of our parents too. Saying that, my brother, Michael, offered to pay for the wedding, and we had a lavish ceremony. But, at Michael's request, I kept it a secret from Jack that my brother was the one who paid. After we got married, my in-laws didn't interfere with our lives, saying, if we get too involved, it might suffocate you, right? They maintained a healthy distance. In such an environment, I truly felt grateful for marrying Jack. That was until I got pregnant. It happened just a few days ago. Feeling unwell, I visited the hospital. Congratulations. That's when I found out I was pregnant. I was overjoyed and immediately shared the news with Jack when he got home. I was sure Jack would be happy too. But his response was lukewarm, Is that so? Jack's response was disinterested, which took me by surprise. His lack of enthusiasm was unexpected. You're happy, right? Yeah, sure. I'm happy. I got a kid before my boss. His boss must be referring to my brother, Michael. Actually, Michael and I work at the same company, though in different departments. Michael is the sales manager. Being an administrative employee, I rarely get to talk to him at work. By the way, Jack doesn't know that my brother is his sales manager. Keep it a secret from Jack that I'm your brother. Michael had requested, so I did. Why is my brother being brought up as a comparison? Why are you mentioning the manager? I just don't like that guy. Apparently, Jack has always found it hard to get along with Michael. Michael used to be Jack's mentor, and often reprimanded him. At that time, Michael was married to Emily, the woman Jack had feelings for. Now, it seems Jack views my brother as a rival. If I had met Emily first. No, I'm all about Lisa now. I understand. I said with a smile, but inside, I felt uneasy. Indeed, as Jack said, Michael and Emily don't have children. It seems Jack is happy that we had a child before my brother, whom he views as a rival. It's not just because it's our child, is it? I'm not really a kid person. Jack admitted in response to my musing. I was surprised, as he had never mentioned this before, and stared at him in disbelief. Don't worry. Just keep doing what you've been doing, he said. Keep doing what I've been doing? Yeah. As long as you do that, I won't have any complaints. Feeling uneasy about his words, I nodded. Lisa, are you okay? You seem lost in thought. My colleague asked me the next day. I was distracted at work, still thinking about Jack's words. She is Emily, my sister-in-law, married to my brother, Michael. I explained to Emily about my pregnancy, Jack's reaction, and how I felt about it. That reaction is indeed concerning, Emily said, her face clouded with thought. However, she quickly turned to me with a smile. I should have said this first. Congratulations on your pregnancy, Lisa. Thank you. I replied, returning her kind smile. Emily is genuinely a wonderful person, and I deeply respect her from the bottom of my heart. When I learned that my brother Michael married such an amazing woman, I was thrilled to have her as a sister-in-law. It made sense why Jack had feelings for her. If you need anything during your pregnancy, just let me know. I'm here to help, not just with work but personally too, if it's not too much trouble. I was truly grateful for her offer. Lisa. Oh, Michael. It's rare for you to approach me at work. Yeah, well. I heard you're pregnant. Soon after, Michael, who apparently had heard from Emily, came to speak to me. He congratulated me and said he'd send a gift later. As we were discussing maternity leave and other details, Jack, looking sullen, approached us. Is there something you need from my wife, manager? Michael looked briefly annoyed. I was just explaining a few things about the pregnancy. I'll leave you two now, he said and quickly walked away. Jack watched Michael's retreating back with a glare and sighed in exasperation. You're close with the manager? He's my senior colleague's husband. Ah, right, you're both in the admin department. I maintained the secret as per my brother's request, not revealing our true sibling relationship. You seem to be close with Emily. She was my mentor. Emily being your mentor, that's something to be jealous of. This made me feel uneasy again. Are you going to take maternity leave? Yes, I plan to. I told Jack this, although I wasn't in a hurry to take leave at that time. However, as morning sickness worsened, influenced by Emily's advice, I decided to take leave earlier than planned. That decision would soon reveal Jack's true nature. I feel sick. As the nausea intensified, I couldn't do household chores like before. Lounging around all day. If you're not working, at least do the housework properly, Jack would say, looking at me coldly. When I said, I feel too sick to do anything, he would click his tongue in annoyance. Emily would have done the housework perfectly. Hearing such comments was a shock to me. And then, Jack began to complain about everything at home. If I managed to prepare a meal, he'd criticize it as just convenience food, or if I couldn't clean and curled up in discomfort, he'd grumble, the house is dirty. You're home all day, clean it up. He'd also demand, prepare the bath when you know I'm coming home, increasingly cornering me with his words. Jack, stop talking like that. I'm carrying your child. Shut up. Didn't I tell you to keep doing things as usual? I hadn't expected that his words would have such a meaning. His words almost brought me to tears. Jack's cold gaze continued. I wanted help, but my mother was no longer around, and I had no childhood home to return to. When I thought of turning to my in-laws, Jack would say, don't bother my parents. Finally, I decided to contact Michael. What's wrong, Lisa? Did something happen? I'm sorry. Lisa, it's okay. Take your time and tell me, Emily said as she took over the phone. When I asked for help, she immediately responded, I'll come right over. Just lie down and wait. Her words brought me relief, and I drifted off to sleep. Hey, wake up. I'm not sure how much time had passed when I was awakened by Jack's voice. Lounging around in the middle of the day instead of doing housework. You've got some nerve. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well. Don't make excuses. You're really useless, Jack said heartlessly, causing tears to spill from my eyes. If you have time to cry, get up and do the housework. I tried to get up, but I couldn't. Hurry up and get dinner and a bath ready, slave. Don't be spoiled just because you're pregnant. Right after those words, I felt a blow to my back. As I tried to get up, my body collapsed back to the floor. It hurts. What are you doing? Shut up. Slackers need to be punished, Jack said, raising his foot to kick me again as I lay immobile in pain. Just as I braced to protect my unborn child, a chilling, deep voice rang out. Is that all you have to say? Huh, what? I turned towards the voice, wide-eyed and then pale-faced. Contrary to Jack's demeanor, I felt immense relief at the sight before me. There stood my brother and sister-in-law, Michael and Emily, faces filled with anger. Michael quickly pulled Jack away from me, and Emily helped me up. Sorry for being late, Lisa. Emily apologized, teary-eyed. In her hand was an eco-bag filled with groceries. I later learned she was delayed because she had stopped to buy ingredients for a meal. While Emily apologized profusely, Michael coldly regarded Jack. How come you two are here? We were called here. She's suffering from morning sickness and asked for help. You should be the one helping her. Why would Lisa contact the manager? Were you two having an affair? Jack blurted out, obviously confused. Michael glared at him coldly. Lisa is my sister. Eh? Jack looked stunned. Then suddenly snapped. But the last names are different. Our parents are divorced. Lisa and I are just siblings with an age gap. What's so strange about a sister asking her brother for help? Faced with my brother's question, Jack hung his head, mumbling, well, that's. Seeing him like this, Michael let out a deep sigh. I had no idea. I told her to keep it a secret. Michael explained, revealing why he had kept their relationship hidden. He knew Jack disliked him and harbored feelings for Emily. I was worried about what you might do if you knew she was my sister. So, it seems he told me to keep quiet about it to protect me. I never thought it was for my safety, and despite the situation, it made me happy. Michael has always cared for and protected me. Part of the reason I've been looking out for you, Lisa, is because you're Michael's dear sister. But more than that, it's because you're such a kind and lovely person. I won't forgive anyone who does this to you, especially someone like him. I really detest people like that. What? No way. Jack reacted, clearly shocked by her words. And then I realized, Jack still loves Emily more than me. That realization turned my sadness into anger. Despicable. Then, I was helped into the car by Michael. Lisa, where's everything you need for the doctor's visit? It's all in the backpack in the living room. Emily went to gather my things while Jack stood there, dazed. Before he could come to his senses, we got into the car. I'm going to divorce you, I told him. Jack, panicking, tried to follow. But we ignored him and drove off. We went to the hospital just to be sure, and thankfully, they said everything was fine. That's good. Don't hesitate to ask for anything. I ended up staying under the care of my brother and sister-in-law. Emily spoke to me gently, and her warmth made me open up. I really did love Jack. It must have been hard, you did well. You really did a great job. They continued, nodding in agreement. I felt deeply grateful to them. That night, I was finally able to rest properly for the first time in a while, and it seemed to ease my morning sickness a bit. Though, I still felt nauseous. Lisa, can you eat anything? I'm sorry, not right now. Don't worry, you don't have to force yourself, they said kindly. Glancing at my phone, I noticed messages from Jack. If he had shown any remorse or asked me to come back, I might have wavered. But his messages were all about him. It's your fault Emily hates me now. Clear up this misunderstanding with Emily, be a little useful for once. Unbelievable. This is beyond saving. Michael and Emily agreed, anger evident on their faces as they read the messages. Then a question popped into my head. Why is he so obsessed with Emily? I once invited him over for dinner at our house. He said it was a well-intentioned gesture to help everyone get along better. That's when Jack fell for Emily at first sight. He should have given up, knowing she was married, but maybe he was always waiting for an opportunity. Why did he marry me then? Probably because you're close to me. So, he was targeting those around me. To think I fell for such a man. As I sighed, Michael and Emily comforted me. There's no place for someone like Jack in a couple as perfect and similar as them. My lingering feelings for Jack vanished completely with his obsessive behavior. I ignored his messages. Instead, Michael sent a message from his phone, "Don't burden a pregnant woman. Am I not bothering you by staying here?" Not at all. I'm happy to have our lovely Lisa with us. I married Michael because he's family-oriented. Seeing him take action for his family makes me happy, Emily said, making Michael blush. I smiled genuinely for the first time in a while. Life at my brother's house was peaceful. Michael and Emily took turns taking leave from work to look after me. How are you feeling? Thank you, I'm okay today. Finally, when my morning sickness subsided, Emily helped me, and Michael and I went back to my house. What have you been doing, slacking off at home? Oh, Emily, Jack said, waiting at home unhappily as Michael had ordered him to stay. Jack's face lit up for a moment when he saw Emily, but she completely ignored him. And Michael glared at him. Sign this, I said, handing him some documents. Jack then wore an unhappy expression. I won't agree to a divorce. If you force it, I won't divide any property or pay child support, he declared. In response, I showed him the medical report. I had obtained it during my hospital visit that day. If you don't sign the divorce papers now, I'll take this to the police. You know you could get arrested, right? Jack's face paled at my words. I feel nothing but disgust for someone like you. I was so happy to hear that Lisa was pregnant. I can't have children myself. What? But I was overjoyed, just like it was happening to me, because I love Lisa like a real sister. In reality, Emily didn't just not have children, she was unable to have them. And the situation was quite hopeless. Yet, she wholeheartedly celebrated my pregnancy and wanted to care for me. A person who hurts someone so important to me and fails in their parental duties, I don't want to have anything to do with someone who's thought of me that way. Upon hearing her words, Jack dejectedly signed the divorce papers. Then, the doorbell rang. Michael stood up and went to the door. What? Dad? Mom? The people Michael brought in were Jack's parents. Ignoring Jack's surprise, his parents apologized to us. We're really sorry for our son's foolishness. We're truly sorry. You should apologize too, Jack's father said to him. His mother apologized repeatedly. We'll leave the rest to you. Leaving Jack to them, we left the house. As we closed the front door, Jack's cries of anguish echoed behind us. With that, our divorce was finalized as I submitted the papers. Later, I spoke to the friend who introduced me to Jack. They were aware of Jack's feelings for Emily. Despite everything, Jack had claimed he had given up on his unrequited love, saying, I've moved on from that impossible love. Now, I prefer the woman who stands beside Emily. When I discussed Jack's behavior, the friend who had introduced us was shocked and apologized, saying, I had no idea he was like that. I'm so sorry. So, I decided to forgive that friend. Are you sure it's okay to forgive them so easily? It's fine. They were really angry and said they'd cut ties with Jack. True to their word, my friends severed all ties with Jack. And even told our other friends, leaving him isolated. Eventually, I gave birth safely. And managed to get child support and alimony from Jack. Thanks to Michael and Emily spreading the word at work, everyone looked at Jack coldly. Unable to bear it, he resigned. Meaning I wouldn't have to see him when I returned to work. Feeling relieved about this, I was preparing to leave the hospital when... Wait, is that Jack? I froze when I spotted Jack standing in front of the hospital. Why was he here now? What did he want? Lisa? What's wrong? Oh. Doctor. As I was lost in thought, Dr. David Miller, who always listens to me with great empathy, addressed me. Suddenly, his gaze fell on Jack. Excuse me, could you please keep an eye on her for a moment? The doctor then called a nurse to stay with us and approached Jack himself. What are you doing here? Well. I was looking for my wife and child. That's strange. You don't have a wife anymore, do you? I had shown the hospital staff Jack's photo and explained the situation. So they didn't let him in, and Dr. Miller knew exactly where to find him. Allow me to say this, if you can't care for your pregnant wife, you shouldn't be married to anyone. Dr. Miller said firmly. Jack, enraged, tried to hit him. But his arm was stopped by a security guard. Don't worry, I'll make sure she's happy. Jack began to shout, but he was soon taken away by the police, who had been called to the scene. After watching this unfold, Dr. Miller returned. How about we get something to eat? He suggested, slightly blushing. His invitation made me blush too. Lisa is not to be underestimated. Truly. You're quite popular. Emily added, with both of them and the nurses watching, making me blush even more. Then, I went back to my brother and sister-in-law's house. Emily was completely smitten with my child, constantly cooing, so cute, making me laugh along. Hey, Lisa. What? That doctor, he's really a good person. Apparently, Dr. Miller had asked Michael several questions when he visited. Michael honestly discussed both the good and bad sides. After hearing this, Dr. Miller expressed his desire to become the child's father. There's no rush. I just want you to be happy, that's all a brother wishes for. Hearing those words, the idea of remarriage crossed my mind. Honestly, I was anxious about what Dr. Miller had done for me. I didn't want to stay with Jack any longer, but was it right to take the child's father away? I had these thoughts. Don't worry. Do you think a child would be happy with such a man as a father? Dr. Miller reassured me. His words helped me realize, having such a man as a father would only bring trouble. It's going well. Don't worry, the baby is growing healthily. He kindly reassured me further and even checked on us during his breaks. Most importantly, when he invited me to dinner, I didn't feel any discomfort. In fact, I think I blushed. I'm serious about this. I'd be happy if you would consider it. He said as he left, smiling kindly. Maybe he could be the right one. I began to think positively. Michael, noticing this, smiled gently. Emily watched over us warmly. All right, Lisa. Go for it. Understood. After settling down, I filed a police report. I had said I'd report him if he didn't sign the divorce papers, but I never said I wouldn't if he did. So, I went ahead and filed it. With the medical report and his recent outburst at the hospital, Jack was arrested and faced imprisonment. He ranted at his arrest, but everyone ignored him. Now I could focus on raising my child in peace. I'm really sorry about all this. It's not your fault. With Jack gone, I introduced the child to his parents. Despite everything, they thanked me profusely for letting them meet their grandchild. We always thought you hated us because Jack said so. We thought it best not to interfere. It turns out Jack's parents hadn't interfered because of his manipulations. If possible, we'd like to help with the child. Of course, I smiled back. Surprisingly, Jack's parents were unaware of his obsession. When told, they were shocked and regretted their parenting. Lisa, can I change the diaper? Thank you. Please do. With Michael and Emily's support, I was managing well. Lisa, isn't it about time? Oh, right. I'll just be a minute. In addition, my interaction with Dr. Miller continued. Recently, we've been meeting for an hour or so for meals or shopping. Sorry for keeping you waiting. You're not with the baby today? Don't worry, I wasn't waiting long. My brother and his wife are looking after my baby today. He often comes to see me during his busy schedule and sometimes even helps with taking care of the child. Being an OBGYN, he's been a great support. Above all, he always prioritizes me and treats me kindly, and I find myself increasingly drawn to him. That's right. My brother and his wife invited us over for dinner today. Definitely, I'd love to join. So we planned a dinner with him at my brother's house. Michael was going to show off his cooking skills. This is made by Michael? Amazing. In this day and age, with both partners working, sharing household duties is essential. I'll take note of that. He said with a smile, but then became serious. Taking my hand, he said. Let me say this again. I promise to make you happy, please go out with me. After his proposal, we officially started dating. Michael, witnessing this, laughed. I can't believe you accepted a proposal right in front of me. It's also a declaration to make your sister and child happy. He said, and I smiled back at him. Meanwhile, Jack was facing a tough situation. He was released from custody but tried to contact me again, only to be stopped by his father. And sent to a distant relative. He's related to me, and quite a strict person. He's giving Jack a tough time. It seems this relative is known to be quite formidable, and Jack is living there, screaming daily. We'll be going there too. Jack's parents said, planning to join and keep an eye on him to prevent further trouble. Because of his strong obsession, he might cause trouble for me and Emily again. I let them hold their grandchild again. Thank you, Lisa. Don't worry, we'll make him take responsibility. They said as they left with smiles. Raising a child is still challenging. But with everyone's kind support, I have nothing to worry about. And there's one more happy event. After the divorce, I reunited with my father, who I hadn't seen in a while. He had been abroad in remote areas and didn't know about me or my mother. My father, who was unaware of both my and my mother's situations, returned to the country after falling ill, wanting to spend his last days here. I'm really glad I could let Dad meet my child. Yeah. I'm also glad to have met your father. My brother and his wife were a bit harsh on my father, scolding him for not being there for me during my tough times. But I was just happy to see him one more time before it's too late. They called me too soft, but I'm too happy these days to care about such comments. Before I knew it, 3 years had flown by. After everything settled down, we got married, becoming a couple both in name and reality. My sister getting into a relationship right in front of me, yet being so cautious. My brother, who has always been watching over us, ended up saying that to me. I had to be careful, especially after my hasty marriage with Jack had failed. After such an experience, one naturally becomes more cautious the next time. Maybe you just forgot? That might be true. I already felt like we were married. My child, who has grown up, calls David Papa and loves him dearly. David, in return, fully commits to being a wonderful father. As for Jack, he still hasn't escaped from his strict relative's place. Recently, I met my former in-laws, who complained he's still useless, no matter how much time passes. I wonder if he's still screaming, I thought, laughing to myself. Lisa, are you ready? Yes, of course. Today is our wedding day. I was hesitant about having a wedding at my age, with a child. But my brother and his wife encouraged me, leading to this happy day. You look beautiful, Lisa. Thank you. Let's be happy and laugh together from now on. We made a promise and headed to the venue where everyone was waiting. After so much hardship, it's time to enjoy happiness. Years from this blissful day, I'll be expecting David's child.